Upcoming episodes on the Flying Monkey podcast. Country music artist Grant Malloy Smith. 3-time Grammy Award winner Ricky Cage. Actor-musician, the one and only Chris Mulkey. Father's rights advocate Robert Garza. And new episodes of Parent Stories. Go to flyingmonkeypodcast.com and select your favorite social media site to join us. Subscribe to us on YouTube and Rumble. And don't forget to check out our sponsors, Open Darkness and Stop the Abuse. You can find more information at www.hopeanddarkness.me, a common sense solution to parental alienation. Let us help you get your kids back. And www.stoptheabuse.info. It's time for change. Together, we can stop the abuse. You're watching the Flying Monkey Podcast. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Flying Monkey Podcast. And here today we have another parent who's fighting to be in their child's life. And his name is Tyrone. How you doing today, Tyrone?
I'm good. Thanks, Tommy.
Good. Thanks for coming on. Another episode of Parent Stories, and it seems to be the same story over and over again. So as I tell everybody, why don't we start from the beginning with a little background on your situation?
Been going through this for I'd say probably about 12 years. Me and my ex were, married, and I started seeing some signs of my son being kind of, I guess in a better sense, I didn't know it was called parent alienation back then, but just manipulated by my son being taken, to the park, or when I get home from work, he wasn't there when my ex would be upset with me, just to keep him close to her. On forward, she would have my son bribe him with candy and tell him to answer the phone and then quickly hang up on me, or answer the phone and say, "I don't love you," and then hang up. And this is when he was like 3 or 4 years old. And so kind of been dealing with this for a while. I didn't know what it was called. I just knew there was something very wrong with the situation where I pick up my son when he got older, and he wouldn't want to come with me. And meanwhile, the time before when we were together, he was great and everything was fine. But when he was in his mother's care, something happened between the transition of him being with me. He was great. And then being in her environment, he was completely different when I pick him up the next time. And this would get more intense year after year. And the court seemed to not do anything about it.
Yeah, and they use the term parental alienation, and there's some forces that are arguing that doesn't exist, and there's some saying it does exist, and it's just a term that's used. It's child abuse is what it is, definitely. And if you want to expand on that, you could say emotional and psychological abuse. And then on top of that, child has to pay consequences to survive and be comfortable underneath the situation that it's in, when there's being pressure put on them to reject another parent or to do those things, to make the child say and do certain things. And when they're free of that environment, they can be themselves. So when they're in that environment, being forced to say and do things and to reject and hate, I mean, they have to do it. There's no other option. And the problem is, like you said, the courts don't do anything, and it goes on and on and on. And the longer that goes on, the worse the child becomes. And
Yes.
Then it becomes a false reality or false memories. And it seems to be true. It's training and practice and programming, and it's just so abusive. It's just, it's a huge epidemic.
Absolutely. You're right, Tommy. It's exactly what you said. The longer that, it's like, why don't we want our kids or, people we love to hang out with gang members or people that, do drugs or are these certain kind of environments? It's because we become who we hang around. It's inevitable. The success books will talk about, tell me who your friends are and I can tell you, what you're like, because around your circle of influence, you become like the people that you hang around. You talk like them, you act like them, you have the same belief systems as they do. The longer you hang out in an environment or around with certain people.
Yeah, no, we imitate our atmospheres, and it's just it's learned. Behavior is learned, right? We've learned
Yes,
that, and it's just yeah, it's just it's a bad environment for them. And the other thing is that taking a parent out of the child's life is damaging to the child. It damages their attachment system, and that's something that hurts them for life.
absolutely.
And we've looked at other statistics, you know, and I've had this on other shows too, and people have talked about it, and I've read them. Taking the father out of the life of a child is detrimental in all category risks that exist.
Yes,
So it just hurts them more and more. So why are they? The question is, why are they doing that? Why do they let it go? I mean, it's supposed to be a court of law, right?
right,
And right and wrong. And so when someone's not abiding by the orders, why are they not enforcing the orders? Why does only one party get away with, murder,
right.
and the other one can't even speak the truth, and it's called a liar for speaking the truth? It's an insane situation to be in. It really is. And so how is your situation with your son now?
Oh man, Tommy, it's currently gotten worse. You know, where again, the court system, I've been parroting and saying the same old thing over and over again, expressing and showing evidence and showing that, like the learning theory. So while my son's in this environment with his mother, he has been trained in with these maladaptive behaviors and trained to have a narrative that's false. And
Yeah.
so when he, comes to me, he has this thing in his mind that all these things have been taught to him, these lies. And then so he has this behavior of anger towards me. And so just recently, what happened was on Wednesday when I picked him up, he was fine. And then he spent one whole day with with his mom. And then on Friday, I picked him up and he literally was a completely different person. He's like, I don't like you. I don't want to be with you. I don't love you. And it turned
Mhm.
into an altercation. That's how is that possible? I didn't even see him on a third, like one whole day. Wednesday he was fine. Thursday I didn't spend any time with him. He was with his mother, and then Friday I pick him up right from school, and then has a completely different attitude towards me. I
Yeah.
didn't.
Well,
How is that possible? It's possible
yeah.
because he was trained up to have his provoked to have anger towards me.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's top behavior, and 2 plus 2 is 4. You can't argue that, and that's exactly what's going on. I mean, there's no other explanation for it at all. And it's just, yeah, I mean, it's so crazy. It's so damaging and it's so abusive. I mean, to the parent who's being alienated and the child.
Yes,
It's traumatizing to everyone involved. And then you have the extended family too. Would love to see their grandchild or their niece or nephew or their cousin, and they don't get to see him much either. Or when they do, it's a situation where the child doesn't have time to decompress from all the programming. It's similar to Stockholm syndrome. So have you found any organizations or anything that have helped you learn what's going on, why it's going on, and help you try to deal with all of this?
yes, thank God. So, about 2 years ago, I was there was another parent going through the same exact thing. I found her on one of the Facebook groups, the Parent Alienation groups, and she has 3 kids, and she was going through the same exact thing that I was going through, and she referred me to this the company called Hope in Darkness, and they're very experienced. The director is experienced in this field, it has been for about 9 years, and together this organization focuses on helping kids and rescuing kids from this child abuse that's going on, the psychological and abuse that some of the parents have done to the children that are caught in this situation. And so it's been very helpful. I've educated myself through this program with the weekly Zooms and just the literature. So I've become aware on how to navigate through this.
Yeah. And so for other folks that are watching this that might be going through the same stuff that you and I are both going through, and that's the reason for doing this podcast is, we want to raise awareness and we want to help and we want to make a change and stop the same old cycle of nonsense that goes nowhere. So just for those watching, what's the name of the organization and how can they find them? Do you know?
Yes, it's called Hope in Darkness. So Hope in Darkness. You can go on the web and look it up. And I just going through this, I just definitely want to reach out to those parents. Don't give up. Don't give up. There is hope out there, like this organization. Some of you guys may believe in this or not, but this is another thing that's really helped me my faith. And just believing in God and just really trusting Him to just continue on. And that's been a really big help for me as well. And just knowing that our children are hurting through this process. And so just learning more about this will help you so you're not stuck in your emotions and you're not taking it out on your children because that's exactly what the other parent wants you to do. So you really, blame your child for this situation. It's the other parent that is causing this psychological abuse for our children to act out on us.
Yeah, yeah, and just to add on to that for folks watching, if you're alienated and your child's rejecting you and being nasty and mean, remember, like he had said, it's not the child, it's not their true feelings. They really do love you and they really deeply want to be with you. It's just that they can't because of the pressure of the experience field that they're in with the other parent. And that most of that anger is their own frustration between what they know to be true deep down inside and their true feelings of love and wanting to be with that parent, and then the fact that there's consequences when they come back home and they can't say they had fun with you and they can't. It's just a circle of lies and non-reality, and it's just so overwhelmingly stressful and painful for the child. And
Yes.
it's so, we say it's abuse. People don't understand how bad it really is for the child. And so for the parents going through it, like you had said, we have to learn to not react to it,
Right.
and it's not towards you, even though they're saying, I don't love you, I don't want to be with you, whatever they say. It's learned behavior. They've been told to say these things and they've practiced it over and over again. And it's not, you can't take it personal. And you have to remember, it's just like you had said, you have to have faith. And it's the hardest thing to do is to, turn the other cheek and to
Right.
forgive and to just not react to it in a vengeful way. That's the natural reaction, because if someone's hitting you, you have to stop it, and
Right.
that's a natural reaction. But in this situation, you really have to just, take a step back, take a deep breath, and think about things before you say them. And so hopefully other parents will understand, and they'll watch this and hear what you and I said, and it'll help them. And again, if folks need help, that's an organization, Hope in Darkness, that actually cares.
Yes.
There's a lot of psychologists out there. There's a lot of lawyers out there. There's a lot of people that want money that do nothing for you, and they promise you stuff and they want money up front, and then the outcome is always the same. It never works out. And you can't call them at 10 at night and they pick up the phone and talk you down from an anxiety or a panic attack or a worry or fear or crying. And at Hope in Darkness they do that, and there's a parent support group and there's a whole family of parents that are going through this that are there to help. Plus you learn, like you'd mentioned earlier, learning theory and behaviorism and why these things are happening. And it's so much more than just, a support group.
Right.
It's an amazing organization. So um another thing that I think, I'd like to bring up too, was false allegations.
Yes.
It seems that everyone I've talked to's encountered that and had that thrown up against them. And so have you had any experience with that at all?
Oh my goodness. Years of false allegations. Yes. From sexual abuse to physical abuse to you name it. And it's went so far to coaches and teachers and principals and therapists and you name it. And even, obviously just the court system. It's really unfortunate that the family courts will believe something without evidence. And so most times in family court, you have to prove yourself innocent on false allegations, which is just it's incredible. In criminal court, it's just the opposite. You have to have evidence before you can be, you know what I'm saying? But the family courts is completely different.
If you're going to make an allegation, you have to have proof. And
Right.
that's the funny thing that I've learned the term protective parents. We're the ones that want the best for the child. We want the 50-50 custody. We want both parents in their life. We just want to be a parent and love them and be part of their life and teach them the right skills to survive in this world, because it's obviously a pretty nasty world out there.
Yeah.
And so we come in with videos and, all the proof in the world to prove the truth. And here we are, we're thinking we're going to have justice and everything's going to be right. And they ignore it all. And then someone says well, they did this and they did that. And it's absolutely asinine and insane and pure fiction. It's just a total lie. And yet they act as if it's the truth. And yeah, it's torture. I mean, it's just insane. So have you gotten, I mean, I know some people that have like eight false allegations. Even there's someone else that had more, and they ended up spending like $1 million to defend themselves. It was just insane.
Wow.
So it's a very reckless and dangerous thing when lawyers or other parents do it. I think they're kind of coerced and taught to do this because they weren't doing it before. And then
Right.
these issues didn't exist before when you're married, and all of a sudden you're in family court, and now they exist.
Right.
And it's just the judges need to really step up, and they need to get educated. And again, maybe they don't even need to be educated. They just need to be honest and do what's
Right.
right, because they know and you can see it. And it's so damaging. It's damaging society because you're damaging the children, and that's the next generation that's coming.
Yes. Speaking on that, so, I don't even think the court system is broken. I mean, I'm gonna really go out here I'm gonna be just straightforward. I just had a ruling, and it's just crazy where the judge actually saw all the lies and all the allegations. He even says in there that he saw that they were untrue, and still they did nothing to help um, our son in the situation, nor did they give any consequences for the other parent for lying and taking up the court's resources and time and also abusing our son. No consequences whatsoever. So I'm going to go as far to say that the court system is abusive, and they're allowing this child abuse to occur when they need to step up, like you said, Tommy. And it's us too as parents that are going through this to speak out and to have a voice and start and saying something. We cannot sit on the sidelines anymore and think that things are just going to work out. It's time to start using our rights. You parents out there, your First and 14th Amendment rights, you need to exercise those. Hope and Darkness has definitely helped us navigate through the system and learn our rights as well. But I just encourage all the parents that are listening to this to get active, to do something, write letters to your Congress people, to say something, to have podcasts like this, to be active, to make a change.
Yeah, exactly. And anyone who wants to argue these points, let's just not worry about words, because actions speak louder than words. So
Yes.
when you see 300 million people worldwide going through this, and they say 25 million in the United States, which I think the number's higher. Um, you can't ignore it. You can't hide from it, and you
Right.
can't lie about it. It's happening, and it's not okay. It's just not okay. And the funny thing is, I don't get why people do these things. They're going to have children, or their brother or sister may have children, or their grandchildren, or their cousins, or their loved ones, or their best friends' children. This is going to continue and happen to them too. And so
Mhm.
you have to stop this from happening. And it has to, divorce and custody is a simple thing. It can happen. You can fix these situations in the court in 1 day, 2 days,
Yep.
3 days max. There's no need for all the shenanigans. It's ridiculous, because all they're doing is just abusing children. And that's the
Yes.
plain simple fact. and it's horrible. Um, and then when someone doesn't follow the order, you have to enforce it. And there
Yes,
you go. And it stops the bad behavior, it stops the abuse, and everybody's happy, fine, healthy, and safe. And that's what's most important.
absolutely, Tommy. No, I just want to speak out, and as I just believe, just I want my life to represent and help other people that are going through this, because I know without hope and darkness, I know without my faith in Jesus, I know without these things in a good support system, because no one really believes like what you're talking about. They're like, how could that be possible? That doesn't make any sense. Um, and so without the support, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. I wouldn't feel as confident. I wouldn't have hope. I wouldn't have been able to still be there for my son, just because I'd be so defeated. And so I just encourage you parents not to give up. Continue to learn more about this. Have a voice. Use your voice. You have rights. So stand up for those rights. Help your child or your children get through this, because it's a generational thing. And you were talking, Tommy. I want to just share this. This is a design. It's designed to take, and I know mothers go through this too, but this is a design to take fathers out of the home. Think about it. So we're leaders. I mean, women are too. We're not like superior or anything, but I'm just saying it's designed where men are supposed to be, the spiritual leaders, the leaders, and it's designed to have men be taken out of the home. And think what happens generationally when children are removed from their fathers, and more kids are in prison. They have more problems, joining gangs, drugs, suicide. All those things is statistically proven. When fathers are taken out of the home, what happens? It destroys the family. And so it's kind of like by design. I believe that this is all happening. And so now it's time to stand up and take action.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. It is, and it's a horrible thing that's happening, along with all these other things that are going on. It's all connected, and
Yep.
that's the saddest thing. There's just this whole wave of insanity coming to cause chaos. I mean, we could go on for hours and get into
Yeah.
all these things, but it's just, yeah. I mean, like you said, it's mothers and fathers that are both suffering through this, and it does damage a child to not have one of the parents in their life. But if someone is obviously super abusive, they need to be removed from that situation. The child does,
Yes.
in order to be safe and in order to survive and to grow and to be healthy and be functional in society. So it's funny. I saw this thing. I guess I'm going to talk about it. I saw these videos of women complaining there was no good men, they couldn't hold a job, etc. Blah blah blah. And why do you think that is? Why do we have 25 million people in this country suffering through this? Because of what they've been doing since the 60s,
Yep.
with taking the father out of the life
Yep.
of the family and destroying it. And so then they grow up, like you said, it's generational, and they can't hold a job, they can't make a commitment, they don't know how to be a man because they're told you can't be a man.
Right.
And all these little things are so important. And obviously we're not talking about being, a macho, pushy, dominating jerk.
Right.
That's unacceptable.
Right.
That's no go there, right there. So, but the majority of us were raised to be respectful and be polite,
Hmm.
and it's so simple, and they need mom and they need dad. But the statistics show that when dad's gone, it's severely damning to the child.
Yep.
And proof of that is, I saw another article. There was a high school that it was just fights and stabbings and shootings and chaos going on, and a bunch of dads said, "Screw this." And they all, I don't know how many the number was, but they bought shirts, t-shirts, and they went in his father's to the school, and not to act like policemen but to act like fathers. And so they're
Right.
high-fiving kids. What's up, John? What's up, Mary? How you doing? He's talking to everybody and being polite and helpful. Do you need help with something? Helping with homework? Hey, we don't act like that. You don't treat a woman like that. You don't punch that guy. And they were acting like dads, right and
Hmm.
wrong, and being protective and teaching right and wrong. And it basically stopped all the chaos
Yep.
just by having fathers in the school all day, you know. And a lot of those children that didn't have fathers, they found a guy who was willing to step up like a big brother or a father, and they probably helped him, take him to sports practices or got them involved in sports or music or art or something. I mean, there's the stories are probably endless coming out of that, and no one follows up on it.
Right.
But it's so important to have a father in their life. And nothing's ever going to be perfect. And yes, for those who want to start criticizing what we're talking about, yes, there's good guys and there's bad guys, there's good women and there's bad women.
Right.
So it's all about behavior. So if we teach good behavior, then everybody will imitate their atmosphere and will have more good behavior. It's quite
That's
simple.
right. Yep. Yeah, I saw that same one, Tommy.
Did
That
you?
was awesome. Yes, that was so good.
Yeah. Yeah. It brought tears to my eyes. It was really cool.
Yeah. That's about the part we'll take, everybody taking action, doing something, we can all do something. And
Yeah.
so that's rather than sitting on the sidelines. Uh,
Yeah. And it's not about us, it's about the kids.
exactly.
And it's
One,
about society,
yes.
making a better world, you know.
No, Tommy, I really appreciate you doing this work here, and getting the word out, encouraging parents, and just educating people on what's going on. There's celebrities out there. There's political people that are going through this. Like you said, this is something that affects everyone. It's not.
Yeah.
It's whether middle class, upper class, lower class. Everyone's affected by this thing that we're talking about. So. I just appreciate you and the work that you're doing. Thank you
Yeah.
for having me on today. And I'd love to come back any other time as well.
Yeah. Well, thanks for coming on and sharing some of your story. And I definitely want to have you back on again. It would be great to have you on.
That sounds great. Thank you, Tommy.
Thanks for watching the Flying Monkey podcast. Like, follow, and subscribe to our social media sites on Facebook, X, YouTube, Rumble, TikTok, and Truth Social. You can also go straight to our webpage at www.flyingmonkeypodcast.com.